Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? I'm Judy Morio, your host, and we have a fabulous guest today by the name of Sandy Kastel. Now, Sandy is a multi-talented woman. I've known her almost her whole life. Almost, not quite. But anyway, she's so talented. She's a singer, she's a dancer, she's a fitness expert, she's a real estate expert, she's a designer. She designs homes and redesigns offices and redesigns just about anything. She's done sculpting, she's done painting. I mean, the woman is so talented, it's unbelievable. So I hope you enjoy her as much as I do. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you, Judy. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Good to have you here. I always love it when you're here because it brings back so many wonderful memories.
It's wonderful to be back. I've been away for a couple of years, it seems like, from this. I've been working really hard on my real estate career and just expanding it over the past couple of years. So it is exciting to kind of be ready to come out again and be back into doing some little bit more creative things, even though what I've been doing is creative in a different way.
Yes.
I do have expectations and goals this year of getting myself out there back on stage sometime this year.
Great.
And I'm working on a new album. So that's nice. And I'm looking to get that recorded in June-ish for the holiday season.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love your music. I've always loved your music.
Thank you.
Especially all the original songs that you've written. You've written some great things.
Thank you.
And what I like so much about what you write is a lot of it is based upon self-improvement, on confidence, on believing in yourself. And you've always been so encouraging to other young women and just to everyone. You seem to take everybody kind of under your umbrella and say, okay, here, let me protect you from the rain, and you've helped so many people get started. But I noticed that today you brought along your Miss America cup.
I did. I thought, it's funny when you get into something like this. Like, I was fortunate enough to have a girlfriend in high school, Kenna Wadsworth.
I remember Kenna.
Yeah, we were just doing a sweet charity. And she said to me one day, she said, Sandy, why don't you enter the pageant? And I said, because I'm not tall and blonde. I said, that was my vision of what a beauty queen was, tall and blonde. And she said, but Sandy, the Miss America pageant is 50% talent. I said, well, I can sing.
Yes, and you can.
Yeah. So in fact, that is one of the things I was going to talk about a little bit. One of the things is talking about, the detours that we have in our lives, and all the detours that I've had. That was kind of a big one right there, because for me, it wasn't something that I had on my radar.
No.
I was not a little girl that was raised to get into pageants. I never knew anything about that, never thought about it, never dreamed about it. I liked watching the Miss America pageant, but I was always out there singing. Singing was my passion. I said, 4 years old, I said, I want to be a singer, so I learned all these Frank Sinatra songs. I bought the records for my dad.
And your dad was a jazz musician.
Yes.
And so you were raised in that world of music. Yeah.
I heard him playing saxophone every single day, all day long. And then my mother, of course, had an art background.
And she was a model.
And that's how you and I met, because my mom came to see you when you were at Wendy Ward.
Yeah.
And you were teaching us all how to, at the charm school,
how
to be little ladies. So after she went and saw you and was doing some things with some, modeling, she said, Sandy, I want you to go to the class, which I did. And, that helped lay the foundation. Even though my mom had already had me walking with the book on my head, when I was in Texas. I remember that when I was a little girl. But going to see you, learning the basics about our bodies, our presentation to the world, which is about, hair and makeup, nails, doing them yourself, walking across the room, posture, dressing, those kind of tools, just like being in the Miss America pageant. The Miss America pageant, what it gave me was a whole nother level. Okay, whole nother. That's a great English term. It's spelled in T-H-E-R. Another. But the point being that, so I got into the pageant, Miss Las Vegas, Miss Nevada. Now, the first time you and Laura were with me because we went from,
You were Miss Clark County.
I was always Miss Las Vegas.
Oh, were you? I
Yes.
thought you won both of them.
No.
Oh.
I was Miss Las Vegas, and then we went up to the state, and you and Laura took me out there, and I won second runner-up.
Right.
And then Sherry Lowe won third runner-up. So I came back. I went out on the road for a year, and I came back, and Sherry Lowe called me up, and she was Miss Nevada, and said, Sandy, we need a strong talent. Will you please enter the pageant? And I looked at my mom sitting on the couch. Then I said, are you ready for this again? I said, I think I can win this time. But what I learned from that experience, even though it was something I wasn't looking for, it opened a door.
Yes. Yes.
So now when I'm thinking about detours, whenever a detour in my life comes up, it's a chance for an opportunity.
Yes.
So detours lead to opportunities.
Yes.
Right? And it's the way we look at them. What do we do when a detour comes into our lives? Do we just sit down and flop our hands down and say, oh my God, I'm just going to give up on life? No.
Some people do.
Some people do. However, there's opportunities to turn that around
Yes.
too.
Yes.
But for me, a detour is kind of like, well, maybe that wasn't the path I was thinking about. But now that I'm there, look at what I accomplished. To be in the Miss America pageant, I forget that not everybody has that opportunity. I don't think about it.
Yes.
I just, you kind of take it for granted once you do it. So I don't walk around going, hi, I was in the Miss America pageant, right? But I do have my mug, and I thought, you know what? I enjoy carrying my mug and now with me because I'm thinking this is part of who I am.
And it's a very attractive mug.
Yeah, it is, but so is yours. I love this. You are more than enough.
That goes with my book.
It does. And that's why you're such an inspiration for everybody, including me.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, you're writing a book, and it sounds like it's going to be wonderful. The title is?
The title is Turning Your Dreams into Reality. And the way this all came about is this last year, as I've been focusing more on real estate and I've just been swamped with everything I've been doing, more and more people have been asking me to get involved in helping them with the renovation process. So I thought, this is something that I love doing. I've actually renovated 20 homes of my own,
Amazing.
over the past 30 years,
Yes.
And I wasn't doing it as a career, but as I started doing it for the people, I just thought, wow, this is like a separate career, even though it's tied with real estate and it works together. So what I did is I started trying to formulate how I was going to put all this together under an umbrella. And I looked back at my life and I've thought about everything that I've done and the different detours that I've taken and the different paths I've chosen. The one constant has always been music. And then I, was in design for designing men's clothing out in Los Angeles, which was just a part-time job that turned into me designing and traveling all over the country, going back to New York, picking out fabrics and designing young men's clothing. Then after about 8 years in that, I said, yeah, but I'm not singing much anymore. So of course I gave my boss 2-year notice. And I said, please get somebody else to fill in my spot. But in the process, I came back to Las Vegas. I moved back to Las Vegas. And the minute I got here, I went to, your agency was no longer here, Universal Models, but I loved working for your agency. But when I came back in 1990, Jackie Basquiat was here. And I went to see Jackie and I said, here's my new headshots. She said, what are you doing tomorrow? So I went right back into doing films, TV, modeling. And then also I ended up teaching at UNLV to the undergrad students, Feldenkrais, which is a form of movement, but I was working with theater people, which was great. And then I was singing. I was singing with a big band. I was, so right away I was doing a bunch of different things. But the common ground was that I was doing creative things. I was teaching, I was sharing, and I was mentoring at the same time I was learning.
Yes.
So all of a sudden I came up, I had been using the phrase turning your dreams into reality for a while because it just came out of nowhere, came out of somewhere. But, it's kind of like one day I said, here, I'm turning your dreams into reality because people that are out there looking for a new home to live in, whether they're first-time buyers, whether they're people that have their young family, a family that's empty nesters, whoever it is, new properties or they're investors, they're looking for an environment, to create an environment, just like this lovely environment we have here. There's something about having the right feeling
Yes.
in your environment. And a lot of people don't know how, they struggle with how to do that. And the process that it takes. You're having to meet with different vendors. You have to get bids over here. You have to deal with a contractor. Who do you hire? What about getting a loan? And now my team is like all these different people that I'm connected with, that I bring in to work work with people. And now
So you're like a project manager with all these people that are now managing each section of it.
Right. I'm not the builder and I'm not the contractor, but I'm the person who brings everybody together and allows the owners to have a buffer here and somebody that represents them. That's why I'm called an owner's rep.
Ah.
Yeah. So when I was coming together with all this, I had also been, I've been gestating about writing some more books. I got an opportunity to write, co-write with the Life Choices
Yes,
books,
you did.
and 3 of the books I'm in. And I loved that opportunity because you had 26 other authors in each, or 26 total in each book. And it's a series, Life Choices series. And I thought, gee, that's such a great, sounding way of doing it, because I have all these different kind of themes in my life.
Yes.
Being fit and fab forever, which is about health, detours. When we come to a detour, my life is a series of detours, the road to the crown, which is not only just to achieve getting to the pageant, it's about life itself. We're all achieving, we're all growing and stepping up that ladder, working towards what the goals are that we want to do in our lives. So what is the common theme here? And what's my title? What's my umbrella? And I thought it might be detours, and I thought it might be fit and fab, and I thought it might be something else. And then I said, wait a minute. I'm talking about turning dreams.
Getting choked up. I love it.
Talking about being, turning dreams into reality.
All
That's
of
what we're
those
here
things
for.
are different kinds of dreams.
Yes.
And so that makes sense to do a series where you talk about the different kinds of dreams people have and how to make it come real.
And the challenges along the way, and not getting frustrated. And the people around you, surrounding your people, your
Yourself
team.
with
Yes, positive people. You know that so well. And John Stiles, you know that so well too. Hi, John, behind the camera there. It's all about having a good, solid foundation and people around you that are supportive of you and what your dreams are. So sometimes, occasionally, we get somebody in our circle that's going, you can't do that. What are you thinking of? You could never be that, right? And those people, it's like, I tell them, don't tell me I can't. Don't tell me I won't. Don't tell me I never will. So I wrote a song about it. But letting people know and reminding people, okay, we have voices in our head, maybe from a teacher when we were little. Maybe we had a little struggle. Maybe from our parents that didn't quite think that you should be out there pursuing whatever it was you were pursuing. So we have these little voices in us that say, no, you can't do that. What are you talking about? Right? And we carry these with us unless we do something to change it. And we start focusing on, I know, affirmations. Louise Hay.
Yes.
I remember her from the 70s, reading her books and then meeting her later on and watching her in a group. And even as she's growing older and growing older and growing older, she has learned herself. She even realized, and she's the affirmation queen, one of them. She even realized at one point that she was getting up in the morning and she was getting up and saying, oh, my back is aching. Oh, and she'd get out of bed. And she realized what she was doing was doing an affirmation. So she said, wait a minute. We don't want those kind of affirmations. We want, so she switched it around.
Yes.
She turned it around. She got out of bed. She said, thank you, bed, for giving me a good night's sleep. Thank you, this beautiful sky. She went into the mirror and she wrote on her mirror, you are beautiful. It's like these little reminders that Yes. So if we need to tell ourselves that, that's okay.
Mhm.
And then surround yourself with people
Yes.
that are also
Positive.
not just looking through rose-colored
No.
glasses.
No.
This is about
Realistic.
realistic. Reading books by Tony Robbins and Buffini and all these people that are out there supporting Judy Morio saying you are more than enough. Finding finding those people, listening to different things that are helping you to grow, helping you to find a balance in your life, to stay fit and fab forever, to find balance.
Now you're saying fit and fab, right?
Fit and
like
fab.
fabulous.
Forever.
You're not saying fit and fab. You're saying fit and fab.
Fit and fab forever.
Okay, I got it.
Yes. And so bring those people around you. Just realize that you can discover the dreams hidden. What is it? Discover the diamonds hidden in your dreams. That was in one of the Life Choices books, right? So discover opportunities from detours, all these things. So that's why I came up with turning dreams into reality.
I love it. I really do love it. I'm such a positive mental attitude activist that I can't help but absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Also, you are the founder of Women in Music and Arts.
Yes, I am. WEMA.
Yes, that's been going for a long time now.
Since 2011 we started, and then 2012 I started the TV and radio shows, and I took a break after a while. I was doing it for 5 years straight, and I was doing it like 6 days a week and doing all of that, which was great, and I loved it. I got an opportunity to meet, singers, songwriters, filmographers, producers, and businesses, local businesses. Not only women, it's also just the community. Going out and going to restaurants and discovering new foods. Discovering how they do it. Discovering from an artist. What are the steps that you took, and what was your inspiration, and what are your goals and your dreams? So, WEMA, Women in Music and Arts, empowering artists of all ages through education, mentoring, and scholarships.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So, what's next?
What's next? Who knows? There's opportunities every day. I'm learning so much with what I'm doing right now with putting this book series together. I feel like it's going to be a series, but it has to start out with one, and then it will grow from there. I'm doing a lot of work on a new album. As I mentioned briefly, I'm writing some new songs. I've been working on that, and having a new Christmas song to come out for Christmas season. I did Santa Baby, and then I never did any others. I thought, why not? Christmas is such a great time of the year for people to come together, for people to be reminded about love, whatever religion, whatever beliefs they have. It's about coming together, and the holidays are such a wonderful opportunity for that. And when you write a Christmas song, it can be put out there every single year, every single year.
Yeah, people love that, especially things that remind them of their lives.
Yes,
I think that's what's really, really cool.
You and I have been, we worked together not only through through the Wendy Ward, and then the Miss America pageant, and then I was doing modeling for you with your agency, Universal Models, and then there were years that were in between that I said, where is Judy Morio?
That's probably when I was in Africa.
I was off doing my thing and doing all my stuff, and finally I said one day, I wonder where Judy is, and I looked you up, and there you were, and we got in contact, and you said, how can I help you, Sandy? And I said, well, I've been thinking about writing a book.
Yes.
And you said, would you like to join us? And another detour, even though I was thinking about it, Judy offered the opportunity for it. And through that, I met a lot of your authors, and got to be a part of the conventions that you did, where you were sharing about the books and everything. And now you've expanded it even more. You've got the Life Choices magazines, and then you went into art, and now you're teaching art, and you're getting awards for art.
Yes,
That's
thank you.
wonderful.
And I'm getting awards for writing too.
And for writing, that's true. That's true. Yes.
Yes.
But so I want to ask you, what has been one of the biggest detours you've gone through?
Going to Africa.
Yes.
It was probably the biggest detour. Things were not going well in my life. A lot of things had gone wrong. I had sold Universal Models, and I had done a massive television show out of WGN Chicago. In fact, it was an infomercial. I was the first woman in America to do an infomercial.
Wow.
And we had made a ton of money doing this infomercial. And then my business partner stole the money and skipped the country. And there I was in my mid-40s, and I was broke, because I'd invested all the money from the sale of the business and everything in that.
Sure.
And we made a lot of money. I mean, we sold like $8 million worth of products in the first year. It was amazing. But my business partner stole all the money and skipped the country. And the FBI said they weren't fast enough to catch up with them at the time. They were gone, and my money was gone, and there I was. And I got offered this job in Africa, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll go. I'd never been to Africa.
Wow.
And so I ran off to Africa for 9 years, and
discovered a whole new path and opportunity.
Oh, my goodness. It was the most wonderful experience of my life. It changed my life. It changed my attitudes. I was there, of course, during the end of apartheid.
Right.
And so you saw extreme poverty and extreme wealth and no in between.
Right.
And it was interesting to watch the dynamics. And then I worked for the newspaper that supported the African National Congress to get Mandela out of prison.
Wow.
So to go through that experience and to have the opportunity to see the first free election ever in their country,
Amazing.
and to see how different it was from us, it made me realize how fortunate I am to be an American, and how fortunate I am to be who I am and to have the talent and skill. So that was my big detour.
That's great.
But it was a big detour. It was the other side of the world.
And you were there for how many years?
9.
9 years.
Yeah.
And during that, though, you also were doing the posters that were all the positive, uplifting posters.
I bought the franchise for Successories for Africa.
Yeah.
So Successories was all positive mental attitude.
And you had an opportunity to meet with Mandela.
Yes, I did get to meet with Mr. Mandela before he became president.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Well, the newspaper afforded me opportunities for conversations with him, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And in fact, I still like to quote him when I talk about leadership, because he taught me that leadership isn't loud, and it isn't boisterous, and it isn't pushing forward. What leadership is all about is being worthy to be a leader and to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I know people who've never been behind a podium. They've never been on stage. They've never led any kind of a big organization, that are real leaders. And it's because wherever responsibility was needed, they stepped up and they became leaders. And that's what he taught me, is that leadership is about stepping up.
Well, you're a leader.
Thank you. And so are you. We've been stepping up for a long time.
Well, it is funny. We're all aging. We're all growing older. I think mentally, I don't know what it is, but I think maybe as a creative person, I think we maybe stay a little bit youthful because we're always creating and looking. We're not just sitting back and accepting things just the way they are. We're always doing something, some kind of a process. But as what I noticed, one of the other things I noticed that was kind of interesting in my 60s, when I first turned 60, was that I was getting asked by younger women, they would see me and they go, wow, you look great, and then we'd be talking, and I'd be talking to somebody that was working out, trying to lose weight, trying to get in shape, and they'd say, oh, wow, I love your dress, I love your this, I love your that, and how do you do this, and how do you stay looking so good? And I would always share whatever I could. I say, I take care of myself, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't do all these other things that I know are not necessarily good for my body, and I try to do the other things that are, nurturing
Right.
myself, keeping a balance in life, not trying to get too stressed, but also just feeling good about myself. Okay. And a lot of times I see women that are a lot younger than we are that have kind of gotten lost along the way, and they just don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And so I think that's the other thing that I've always felt, a commitment, even though nobody was asking me, to be committed. But I think that's why I feel that there's something more I should be doing. And I know we say, well, you shouldn't say should, but I feel like I should be doing more, as much as I can, to get the word out there. And I can do it one-on-one in person. I can do it a little bit with groups like this when we're on TV. But that's why I felt that I need to go to the written word.
Yes, I think
and get
having
the books out there.
having the book is so important.
Even if it's a little book.
Even if it's a little
just
book.
something. Because sometimes we're not quite ready to hear something. Sometimes if somebody hands you a big, thick book like this and you look
You
at
won't read
it
the
and
whole
you just
thing.
get so,
Yeah.
it's so daunting, unless you're prepared for that, whatever that is. So I found that myself, with me learning and the process that I've taken throughout the years, a lot of times I go into a library and I would just open up a book to a page and see if something
Yes.
resonated with me, right?
Yes.
And other times I was given a book that was this big one time. And I opened it up and I started reading. I was like, whatever.
It's overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. And I put it aside. But 2 years later, someone gave me that book as a gift for my birthday in December, by the way, in case anybody's asking. And I said, I'm thinking, well, I tried to read this once before.
Right.
I opened up the book and I couldn't put it down.
It was the right time.
It was the right time. I was ready to read the book. So sometimes, when we're trying to learn things and we're feeling like, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. I'm never going to get through that. There's no way I'm going to learn this. If we just take a little chunk, a little piece, just take one step at a time. I talk about the 5 steps to pursuing your passion, right? Take one little step at a time towards it. And I talk with, women that are starting over again. They're empty nesters. The kids are gone. And they're like, now what do I do with my life? I don't have my kids to take care of. And they're like, well, what am I going to do? I said, well, what did you want to do when you were a kid? What were you passionate about then? And then they go, oh, I love this. I love painting. I loved, or I want to climb, Mount, what is it called? One of the big mountains?
Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro, thank you. But maybe you can't do it all at once. Maybe you have to just take a step, go to a class, like you're teaching people how to paint. You said the other day, she noticed my apple that I brought for her. And I said, yes, this is for the teacher. And I want to give it to you.
Thank you very
And I
much.
want to remind you, you know what it's for? It's to remind you that even when you have a busy schedule,
You can eat a piece of
you
food.
can, make sure that you're taking food or some little piece of something to keep yourself nourished. And so I thought this would be a great symbol for being fit and fab forever.
Oh, yeah, it is. Because how many times do we go to something and we're not aware that we're going to end up going to something else
That's
directly after. And by the time we get to the 5 o'clock, whatever, we're starving. We haven't had any lunch. We haven't had any breakfast. We had coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And now we're starving. And so when we get there, we eat junk and we eat things that aren't good for us.
Right.
But if we had an apple in the car,
That's
it would be
right.
so easy to pick it up and eat it.
That's right.
It's such
And
a
you're
great,
not nourishing your brain throughout the day, nourishing your body. Your body is starving in that period. Now, I know some people talk about the 72-hour fast. Okay, that's something different.
yeah.
But when you're actually going through a day and you haven't prepared to be gone all
Yes,
day,
yes. Thank you for
it
the
is
apple.
good to keep ourselves nourished.
Yes.
But anyway, so
I think it's a great symbol. In fact, I'll have my art students paint you some more apples, and you can pick one.
well, we'll get our picture taken with the apple later.
But you were talking about the smaller books, and I think you're so right. I wrote a book recently, this last year, entitled "Focus Forward: Don't Let Yesterday's Story Be Today's Headline." And I wrote it because I met a group of 10 women that they had all lost their husbands in the last 2 years. And so they seemed kind of lost. They were like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do without him. I've been married 35 years. I've been married 50 years. I've been married. And it's not just empty nester anymore. It's alone. You know, the husband is gone. The children are grown. And you know, one lady even said, my dog died 2 weeks after my husband and I. She said, and I missed the dog more than the husband. You know, so.
Well, the dog never expected anything, so I was happy to see her.
Yeah. But I wrote that little book, and I had a launch at an event, a tea with these 10 ladies. And they all took the book, and they went home, and they read them, and then they started calling me and saying, oh, this is amazing. You wouldn't believe how many of these pages I put turn down the corner, I put a paper clip on to remind me to come back to it, you know. And so I thought I wrote it for those ladies, period. And then I did a book signing at Copper Cat Books out in Henderson. Great little secondhand bookstore, but they have authors come in and do book signings. And I took the book along just as a secondary book. It's the one that sold. Like all day, people were grabbing that book because it was small, it's easy to read, and it addressed issues, not just grief, but anytime you have a disappointment in life, here's the different kinds of disappointments and what you could do. And that's what you're doing with these little books when you're talking about doing a series of Turn Your Dreams into Reality. You're talking about different kinds of dreams, different times in your life when you have other kinds of dreams. And so I think these small books are a great idea.
Well, I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about everything that's happening right now. I think it's a good time in our lives.
And I think Turning Point International would like to publish those books for you.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I would love that. Thank you. But there's so much turmoil going on in the world. A lot of stuff being done in different directions. We're kind of all over the place. And the one thing that I remember when we went through COVID, I remember when we were going through COVID and everybody was glued to the TV 24/7. And it was just, we were bombarded with negative. And I said, I can't do anything about that over there. All I can do is something about me. And I started getting on the phone. I mean, I was on my, Facebook, and I go, good morning, I'm having my lemon water now, or I'm cooking my meal, or I'm doing this, and no makeup, no this, whatever, or I'm walking outside, whatever it was. And I remember people saying to me, it's so nice to have something positive in our day, because people need more of it.
Yes, they do.
We need to remind them. And there's... I think as much as that is out there that is positive, I think there's still more to be had.
Oh, a lot
and
more.
I think, like you said, a small book, it's a reminder, it's a little bit, and it's something that says, look, this is for you. This is for you. Okay? It may not be for everybody, but if you're picking up this book, and this resonates with you, like the paper clips and the turning of the pages and stuff like that. That message needed to get out there.
Exactly. Somebody needs that message.
That's right.
And the thing is, so many of us have messages that we keep inside. I said to someone, they were asking me about writing a book this year. And, I wrote Chronicles of a Divided Land this year, which is about the apartheid era in South Africa.
But it was fiction.
Which it was
based
fiction, based on my story.
Your story.
But it was fiction.
Right.
But I wrote it. Now, the fact that it won the International Impact Award for Best Historical Fiction last year, that was a surprise, and that was a treat, and I got the big trophy, and that was wonderful. But even if it hadn't done that, even if it hadn't sold 10 books, even if it was just that I did it,
right?
I felt so good when I did it.
Yes.
Because I didn't believe I could write a novel. And so I was laying up there in a hospital, and I thought, well, you ought to be doing something with your time. Let's try to write a novel. Just try. It could be awful. Who knows? And there were things about it that we had to go back and fix the second version and things. But I did it. And see, and I think that's the thing, like with you. And what scares me is because we do so many things. You know, I have a business card, and I actually used to have 10 business cards. One for this thing I do, teach art. One for the television show. One for this year. I made a business card. I turned it over, and on the back I put what I do, and I listed it on the same card because I got tired of having 15 different business cards and never had the right one at the right time.
I understand that. Yeah.
So it's what I do. I do all these things. And a lot of people are like, well, how can you be good at anything if you do all those things?
Right.
Well, because you only do one of them at a time.
That's
I concentrate on the one until I get it done, and then I go do the other one. But if I had to do the same thing over and over and over, it wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
And I see that with you too.
Yeah.
You're like over here and over there and over here and over there, but you know where you are.
Right.
I mean, you're not running around lost. You know exactly what you're doing here and what you're doing there because you're very organized.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that about us creative people because we have to be creating all the time.
Yeah.
We have to be. And it's hard for people who aren't creative to deal with us.
Yeah, and a lot of people will ask, they say, well, my gosh, Sandy, you do all these things. How do you get it all in? I said, well, I didn't do it all at once.
Mm-mm.
This was when I was here. This is when I was there. This is, like you said, it's different times in my life. When the sculpting, Tanya Nikolic called me and she said, yeah, I'm going to my sculpting class. I'm doing a sculpting class over at the library. And I said, oh my gosh, I always wanted to do sculpting. I said, can I come too? And she said, yeah. So it was once a week. And then I called my mom my mom and my sister were living down in Golden Valley. And I said, hey, can you guys come up at least once a month and do the class with me? I was going every week, right? Mm-hmm. But they came up once a month. And at the end of a year, we all went in down to Prescott, Arizona, and we went to the foundry and we had our sculptures turned from clay into bronze together.
Wow.
And my sister did Picard from, because she loves those shows. And then my mom did Lotus Blossom, beautiful Lotus Blossom, and woman, that she named Lotus Blossom. And I did the Egyptian princess series. And then now they didn't choose to get involved in becoming an artist. I mean, selling them for profit or anything like that. They just had the satisfaction that they did it.
Right.
They did it for themselves. It came out of, and my sister, she was like, she said, well, I love Star Wars and all these things. And Star Trek. Yeah. Is that Star Trek. And so that's what she loved, was Picard. So, and then my mom, has always created and drawn beautiful women.
Yes.
Of course, she's had different series.
I still have some of her cards.
Oh, do you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so she was always drawing it. And I have boxes and boxes still of drawings and sketches that she did that I didn't even know about. They're all on 8.5 by 11, just regular paper that she did, but so prolific in what she did. And, but the bottom line is, it was something that Tanya invited me. I'd always wanted to do it, but I hadn't really put my nose to the grind and done it. I went there. I was fascinated by it. I could sit and work on a piece for 4 hours and not even know where the time went.
Exactly.
And I remember saying, actually to myself, I said, oh my gosh, I found something else that I love as much as performing. Mm-hmm. And it's great to create. So anyway, doing that, like you started out with your watercolors, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that where you started out? Yeah. And you just started out to just kind of do it a little bit.
Well, I started because the doctor told me to go there.
The doctor told you?
Yeah, because, I had cancer at the time. Mm-hmm. And the doctor said, I want you to go and do dance lessons, and I want you to go and do art lessons. And I said, dance lessons I understand because that's exercise.
Right.
Why would I do art lessons? And he said, for you to sit still and be quiet for 3 hours at a time.
Right. No one would think she could do that.
and so I did. And what's interesting now is that you say the time just flew by when you were doing sculpture.
Right.
On Saturday, I had a brand new art class start with 8 new students, and they got in there and we got started. And before long, I said, oh, you guys, it's time to clean up. You got 5 minutes before you have to go home. And they're like, what? We just got here. I said, no, 3 hours has gone by.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Was that when they were doing the apple?
No,
Oh,
this was a brand new class. They're not advanced to apples yet.
okay.
Believe it or not, apples are hard.
I know, but they're so important.
But I find that with the art students, it's like you said, they get so involved that they're just in another world, and
Yeah.
it's so good because it does away with the stress. They're
Right.
not thinking about all the aggravation and the hassle and whatever. They're just concentrating on what they're doing. And boy, some of my students are turning out such amazing work.
The one thing I've noticed with all the stuff with the cell phones, and I remember years back when they first started, obviously they were in other parts of the world before we really got it to
Yes.
the point where everybody had one in their hand all the time. Now we are doing everything on that. We're talking to people, but we're chatting, or we're texting, and the information, we want some information, we do it there. We don't go to the encyclopedias like we did when we were kids, right?
No.
So everything is there, but it's a machine. And I see some of these young kids and even adults that have had that in their hands since they were born, since they were 2 or 3 years old, been working on computers. And we need time away from it.
We do.
We need a little separation. We need time where we actually pick up a regular pencil and put pen to paper, pencil to paper, and just write. Even if you don't know what you're writing, just write and see what happens, because we have a different connection from our brains to our hands to writing.
Exactly.
You have a different connection when you're painting, when
One
you're
of the things that
sculpting.
scares me about schools today that are not teaching kids to write cursive.
They're starting to do it again.
Oh,
thank
I hope
goodness,
so, because cursive writing,
is
when we
the
were
key.
doing research,
Right.
cursive writing makes an indelible imprint on the subconscious mind.
That's what I'm talking about with the writing.
Yes. So you've got to do that
Yeah.
in order to, it helps you to remember.
I know.
And so, like when I do speeches, I write them out,
Mhm.
and then I rewrite them, and
Yep.
then I rewrite them, and then I rewrite them until it's in here,
Yeah.
because if I just read it out loud over and over, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But my brain doesn't comprehend it like it would if you write it.
Yeah.
And I find that so important that people are doing that nowadays.
You know that I did dream work. I
Yes.
have done dream work since I was 29. I started when I was 29. And one of the key things with that was writing. And I have books and books and books and books. And throughout that period of time, though, that I've been doing that, when I first started out, it was like, a few phrases here and there. Then it became books.
Yes.
Then it became songs. Then it became ideas that, it's like your subconscious is talking to your conscious. And but then I did change over to the computer, and I started doing that. When I was doing the Egyptian princess, I remember I had a dream. I woke up and I went to the computer, and I just started, just blah, 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 blah. And 8 pages later was my story, right, of the sister of the Egyptian princess and her brother, who was the pharaoh, and then their childhood. And it's like,
where did it come
well, where
from?
did that come from?
Yeah.
And then when you and I got together and I said, hey, I want to write a book. And then all of a sudden I was writing detours. I woke up out of a dream and started writing. I actually went to the other room and sat down on the computer and started writing the song and the book and, the story. And I remember I wrote so many words and I sent it to you, and you said, Sandy, we need 2,000 words. I said, oh, you need more? And they said, no, we need less. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was so caught up in it. And as I was doing it, it was like, oh my gosh, it was seamless. But it took me away from the hustle and bustle of whatever was going on over here, the stress that you get in just driving a car nowadays, especially when everybody's driving all over the road.
Right.
So we do need to disconnect. But when we're disconnecting from that, we're reconnecting with ourselves.
Exactly.
And we need to do that. We need to rejuvenate. We need to replenish. We need to restore.
I hope you're putting
and
all
connect.
of this in the book.
Oh, yeah, here and there. I keep rewriting it. But that's the point. And that's the part of, I think, being someone like yourself, that you have been doing this for a long time, and you're continuing to grow. And like you said, you're starting a new class, and did a new book, and you did another book, and you're still doing, and we're going to keep doing.
Yeah, people keep saying to me, "But Judy, you're so old. When are you going to retire?" I mean,
They're old.
like if I was going to retire, I should have done it 20 years ago. I don't plan to retire. I'm busy.
I remember when I was in the clothing business out in LA, and I was at the LA Mart, and we always pull downstairs, to park the car underneath the building. And I would always, greet the guys that were there, taking care of all the cars and stuff. And they'd always say something to me about how good I looked or whatever. They give me a compliment and stuff. And after a while it'd be, oh my gosh. And I said, well, this is what 30 looks like. This is what 40 looks like, and I'd meet girls that were younger than me that were not taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
They just weren't. And you could see it in their skin, and you could see it in their manner of dress. They'd kind of just gotten lost because they were working so hard. Maybe they were so focused on work that they had forgotten about, let me take time for me, for myself, for my health, for my, my new clothes. We have to evolve in our clothes. This is my new look right now. I love this look. I tell everybody when I get a compliment on my dress or my shoes, I'm like, yes, Lauren dresses, and I roll them up and I can travel all over the world. And then I take them out of the suitcase and they fit me, and they got the ruching, and they're feminine. And my shoes are Jessica Simpson's. And I get girls all the time asking me, women, young girls, middle-aged, older women, men that come up to me and say, oh my gosh, you look so good. I'd love to buy that dress for my wife, And I always, share that information along the way. Now, is it necessary? Maybe not. Maybe they say, well, that's a little too much information. I really didn't need to know what your dress and your shoes and all this stuff. But the point being, it may not be a designer dress or something. It's just a dress that fits me.
Yeah.
It's what I feel comfortable in. I throw it on, I'm ready to go. People say to me, well, you're always in a dress. You're always in a dress. You're always in a dress and heels, Sandy.
You like being in a dress.
How are you showing it? How are you showing properties in a dress and your heels and stuff? I said, very carefully. So I, watch my steps when I'm walking on rocks to get to the lockbox.
Yeah.
But for me, it feels good. You might feel better, comfortable in pants and a top. That's great too. For me, I feel comfortable in a dress and shoes, but I also wear jeans and I also wear my golf outfits, and I also do. But for work and for my daily thing, I always feel like I'm going out the door, presenting myself. And I do wear my little real estate pin now that I found at the MLS office, at our office. And I thought, it's a little pin. But, people say to me, oh, do you have a good lender?
Yeah.
Gee, I'm thinking about buying a house in a year. I said, great, well, let's help you prepare and get yourself ready, for that process. And I help them along the way. And I think that's what you do. You're helping all of us along the way. And that's what is consistent. And John Stiles over there behind the camera is helping us along the way, because he's helping us sharing things. I met John a long time ago.
I know.
When I did my first shows.
I know.
And he started out with me, and he said, I have this hobby that I like to do.
I know.
Just videotaping.
And you helped him get into this.
And look at him. He's, Mr. Successful over here, taking care of us, all of us. And so, people sometimes, say to me, they say, well, but Sandy, you sing on stage, you do this, you have a talent. I don't have that talent. I say, wait a minute, you've got a great, mathematical brain. I don't have that. I can do enough, to get me by, but I can't rattle off numbers. That's not me. I see the overall picture, right? So everybody has their own specialty. Everybody has their own story, as you've told many people. And we've heard from other authors that have talked about it. We all have a book in us. When people are sharing their lives or their work, I say, you've got a story right there. And I think that people sometimes don't think they have the talent to do something, and I want to make sure that they
Which
do.
brings me to my new book. I know this
Yeah.
is about you, but I have
Tell
a
me,
new
tell
book
me.
coming out. My book, You Are More Than Enough, was an international bestseller.
Yes,
It did so well.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking that I left something out of that book. I wasn't sure what I left out, but I just kept feeling like there was something more that should have been a part of that book.
Yeah.
But the book did well, and everybody that read it loved it, and it's still selling well, which is great. So I wrote a book entitled this year, You Are More Than You Think You Are, Overcoming Your Perceived Limitations.
There you go.
And it is more of a spiritual book because I think most of us kind of try to depend on who we are here on this earth and our own abilities to do things. And sometimes we have to stop and say, could you help me with this?
Yeah.
And I really think this book answers a lot of people's questions about who needs God and whether or not there is a God and whether or not you can depend on God to fulfill your requests and your dreams and your goals. And one of the things I made a point in the book is I don't think God needs to be bothered with, could you please turn all the lights green so I can make it across town on time, or is there a parking place for me? No, that's not what I'm talking about in this book. I'm talking about what we have inside of us and what we really know, but when we came to this world, we forgot. And a lot of us forgot who we are. And I think that's what you're saying. We don't believe in ourselves enough. And I think that's based on not having enough faith. And so that's my new book.
That's wonderful. I love it. And like what you said, not thinking that we have enough, but yet, and not remembering all that stuff. But every time we reconnect, and even if somebody says, well, I don't believe in God and I don't believe in, well, okay, that's fine. Believe in yourself. Taking a few moments for yourself to sit and not do anything. I read somewhere, and I think it was as I was recuperating from what I went through last year, and it was about, and I was slowly, gradually getting my balance back and my, and I was having struggles, to get up the stairs.
Right.
And it's like still one step at a time, right? But it's also, as when we're walking fast and we're rushing, there's something about, just slow your step down just a little bit. Just slow the pace down a little bit. And what happens is, there's something that happens neurologically in our bodies when we do that. When we take a breath, we slow down. And it just allows for us to just settle in, reconnect, being centered. Well, we call it a lot of different things, one moment in time, living each moment, as it occurs, rather than, you mentioned before, not thinking about the past or bringing the past forward. Honoring, you have to honor what's come. Honor what's gone on. Learn from your experiences and then bring it forward. And now say from now to whatever. Not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. It's what am I doing right now? And right now, I need to have an apple. I need to sit, take a few moments, wherever you have to go in the house to do it or at work to go, just walk away and sit down. And I think, and then also, like you said, our spiritual life. Buffini, talks about this. We talk about this in real estate class, and that's one of the people that Brian Buffini, and he has the 5 different, and I probably won't remember everything, but, spiritual, our spiritual life. We have to put time aside for our spiritual life. And then what's next, is it me? I have to take time to nourish myself. Because if I don't nourish myself first, I don't have anything left for anybody else.
Exactly.
Right? Family's important. All these things you have to put down. You have to make an appointment with yourself, with your family, with your spouse, your partner, your whatever, husband, wife, or your business partner, whatever it is. So you've got your family. You've got your career, right? And then you've got, what's the other? Oh, fitness, exercise. So there's 5 things. So he actually tells you, get a card, different colors, blue, yellow, green, red, whatever. And then, you write down a title on each one of those. And then you just put your little notes about it. And then also on your calendar.
Yes.
On your calendar.
You make time.
You put the time in there, the block. Because what do? Do we ever put time for sitting down and meditating or sitting down and taking some time for ourselves? We need to remind ourselves. Make an appointment with yourself. Make an appointment for
and put it in ink so you don't go changing it.
Put it in ink. Yes.
Because we put it down and then somebody says, "Do you want to do something?" and we change it.
We erase it. Yeah. But yeah, so set time aside for each one of these things, which are very important. Your spiritual life, your exercise, your family, your work,
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one? Oh, see, I already forgot. Anyway, you get the point. So, Brian Buffini.
I do get the point, and I appreciate Brian, and I think that we're out of time.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
out of time.
Can you believe it?
I know, we have so much time.
I know.
But that's okay, we booked it.
You and I could probably do this forever, I really appreciate that you've been here.
Well, let's do it again.
This has been exciting. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed this time. We haven't had time together like this in a long time.
I know.
So it's really special that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you for
being here. And thank you for being here with us today. And I want to encourage you to look for Sandy's new book that's going to be coming out probably around March. And it is entitled Turn Dreams into Reality, which is a great title. And it's something I've seen Sandy do over and over and over again throughout her life. So I know she knows what she's talking about, and she's giving good advice in this book. Thank you for being with us. Remember, what's your story? We'd like to hear it sometime.